Welcome to Inside Design with Headrick and Kole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Headrick and Kole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Design with Headrick and Kole. This is episode 28, and we're going to talk about our experiences with coaching, conferences, and classes. So we are really big advocates of staying ahead of the design curve as it relates to product, our skills as designers, our business acumen as entrepreneurs. And so to do this, over the years, we've invested quite a bit of money, a lot of time, a lot of brain energy into attending national conferences, hiring business coaches, classes. And so for all of you new or very experienced designers out there who don't venture outside your bubble for one reason or another because it's expensive or you can't find the time or whatever, you might find this podcast kind of inspiring.
Yes, we have been attending conferences and educating ourselves from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So we started our business in 2005, and that in 2006, we went to Las Vegas to attend the Business of Design conference with David SHEPHARD. And that lasted a fairly long time. David is now retired from the conference, and he's a professor of entrepreneurship at the TSU in Texas. But we attended Las Vegas, and we loved the fact that we were able to rub shoulders with some designers that were like in a more of a luxury category than we were. We were brand new. They were, definitely a little ahead of us. Tobi Fairley was one of the ones that we met, and then we've also met some friends that have stayed lifelong friends. Joann, Kole, who's in Tampa, Melinda, Headrick, who's in Chatham, Massachusetts. So if anything, whenever you attend an event, the networking and who you meet is always, always, always something that has been a benefit to us.
I think it's trumped everything we've learned because then we have this just posse of resources out there that we've called on time and again for help with contracts. Oh my God, I've got this big, huge project. I have no idea how to charge. Have you ever worked with this manufacturer? How do you feel about them? And yeah. But we learned a lot from David. He really, I think he pushed us in a lot of ways, and he's very scholarly, his approach. And I mean, we learned about Studio Webware back in the day. Back then, and that's
what we're using today.
That's the design software that we use for all of our procurement and our purchasing and our invoicing and accounting. We would have never. I don't even know if we would have learned about that if we hadn't been at that conference.
It really is. It's the business of design. So this is not a conference that you would go to learn about colors and trends, whatever. It's all about the business. And there are a lot of different people that do this. Everybody has their own kind of little take on it. I think maybe because designers are, known to be artsy-fartsy, and they're not, they don't really have a business mind. And there are a lot of them that are like that and really, really need this. So you can be designing beautifully and have extreme talent. But if your business is not running efficiently,
you in trouble.
Yeah. So this is why people go to this is why we have made this a choice to attend a lot of these different things. So we're always learning.
And I think as we go through the ones that we've been to, there's always nuggets that have stayed in my head over the years. And I mean, think about it. We were with David. Well, we were with him in Las Vegas, in Palm Springs, in New York. We went for years until we took a break and kind of just decided we wanted another avenue. And
because we were so perfect and didn't need it anymore.
Not. And I'll never forget, he talked a lot about tracking your time. And because we always talked a lot about, charging what you're worth and how to charge. And he was really big on considering your time in different silos. If you can think of, okay, this is my silo for this project or for marketing or for whatever. And when you really sit down as a designer and you track your time, which is a pain in the patootie if you ask me, to track your time, you can't be multitasking because it's too hard to say, oh, well, I spent 15 minutes or an hour on this client, and then, I had a little ADD and I went, 30 minutes over with this client. So it really focuses you to stay on track with what you're working on. And then you really have the guts to charge the fees that you should be charging when you realize the time that you spent and also your staff spent and even your tradespeople spent to create the design that you have. So, but unless you really track that time down to the minutes, you'll never really know, because I think that's the first thing designers do is they give away their time.
Yeah. And they don't maybe have the confidence to say, I'm worth this. But when you really sit down and look at all you're doing, you are worth it.
Yeah, and there's times when we're really fast and there's times that we're really slow. And we kind of, find a happy place. If we really struggled with something, I might not charge for every minute that I worked on something, but, the client doesn't need to know per se.
Yeah.
So, but we learned a lot. And now he's turned over the Business of Design Conference. It's now run by Julie Malloy. And she is doing a great job with, she calls it the Bold Summit. And she's still bringing together luxury designers and teaching great things. So you can check out what they're doing on businessofluxurydesign.com. But it's still a great place to go learn.
Okay. And we've talked about Tobi many times before, but we did a design mastermind with her back in 2013, where we went to Little Rock, I think 4 times. And it was a small group at the time. She's done a lot of different things, but it was a small group at the time, maybe 8 to 10 designers. And it's so great because these were all people who basically, I feel like, were at our level, that we were all dealing with the same things. Not anybody was brand new, but not anybody, had been in the business for 30 years. So we learned a lot of different things. One was how to charge your worth. We learned how to be on video. That's kind of when video had kind of been out there, and learning to be able to, I guess if you're learning to be on video, you're also learning to speak in front of people. And so you have to feel confident. Nobody's going to want to buy from you if you're not coming across as confident.
That was so fun. What was the guy's name?
I can't remember.
You
Bob.
You still play for Words with Friends with him,
Leonard Chandler. He was the camera guy.
Yeah.
And so
he was so good. So she had the camera guy there that she's worked with for a long time. And then she had this newscaster guy from Arkansas that she was friends with. And so he interviewed us. And then Leonard was videotaping. And then so he was asking us questions, which made us relax.
Yep.
And then she shot it up on a projector in front of the whole group, and everybody kind of constructively criticized how we did. It was such a learning experience.
Yeah, it was really great. Now, Leonard, who was the camera guy, was so awesome. So this is back 2013 that we went?
Yeah.
We are Words with Friends buddies still. So, that anything came out of that. But we met some really quality designers, and they've all gone to do very big things. Tracy Zeller, she's out of Charlotte. Lisa Mindy, she's in Charlotte as well. Denise McGahey is in Texas. Liz Carroll, and
she's in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yep. So we've stayed in contact.
And great friends.
Yes, and they've all gone and done some great things. This was a really, really big deal for us. So
there was 2 nuggets that Tobi, so many nuggets, but so many things she taught us, but 2 that I really remember. And one was, if you are uncomfortable charging, we were talking about product, and we were talking about being uncomfortable as new designers, really taking that leap with higher end products and charging, presenting a sofa that was $5,000 in front of a client and just being like scared to death and not really knowing how to navigate that. And she was like, do this. She said, go out and buy a really expensive pair of shoes or a handbag or something that you've been really wanting, but you just wouldn't blow the money. Go get it for yourself. See how you feel about that purchase. And it will help you to come up with the words and to have the confidence to then sell a high-end quality product to a client. Perfect example. I used to buy a handbag every season.
You still do.
I do not. No, I do not.
Okay.
You and I, we love TJ Maxx and Home Goods, and we look for that like Italian purse. It was like around $150 or so. How many did we buy a year? One year I was in Charleston with my girlfriends, and I bought a never full bag from Louis Vuitton, and I have not bought a bag since. I may have gotten them as gifts. Don't be looking at me like that. I have not bought one since I made that huge purchase. And so it really helped a lot.
Yes,
You know,
it does.
it really did.
It makes you see that, not everything has to be the quality piece, but put those in there. People want quality. Don't be, just because maybe you can't afford that or you would never pay that doesn't mean somebody else won't.
Yes.
That was a really, really big lesson.
The other thing we learned from her is push your design fees until you lose a client that you really wanted. And we've done that.
Scary.
Because, you never know, like, am I charging enough? Am I charging too much? I don't know. Every designer's different. Every market's different. Clients are different. So I'll never forget, remember, when we took we were going into this client and we were like, you know what?
We're going to try it.
We're just, you know what? We've got enough in the pipeline right now. We don't want to lose her, but we could. Let's just try it. Let's just double our fees and see what happens.
Didn't you know it? No
Didn't
problem.
blink.
Didn't blink an eye. We were like, yes.
And then we did it again, and we did lose that client, and we couldn't get her back. And we were like, okay, now we know where our.
You just test the waters.
Yep.
And you see what's happening.
But that was really great advice. Yeah.
Another great.
No, don't move on to Kimberly yet.
Why?
Because Tobi, I want to remind everybody, Tobi is still doing some amazing stuff. She has shifted her focus slightly, and now she's a certified life and health coach. She's still working with interior designers and other creatives, but she's got this new coaching program called Design You, and she has a new podcast, which is really great. And she's a great entrepreneur, so she's always doing something new. But check her out on tobifairley.com. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I was so excited to talk about Kimberly
Yeah.
Selden. She's a designer that's in Canada, but she also has a business of design. She has a podcast.
Her podcast is fantastic.
Yeah, so we attended a 3-day seminar. She did it here in Atlanta in November of 2014. And she has a really kind of great no-nonsense approach to how she teaches. And she has very aggressive business tactics. She really dives into the importance of improving your contract. I do remember, and this was a very good lesson. We talked about budget a little bit, and nobody likes to talk about this subject. And, we try to use the word investment versus, what's your budget? What would you like to invest? And if people, and a lot of them do say, well, I really don't know. So she said a great way to judge this is to say to the person, and you're kind of, what it's roughly going to cost. So let's say we're doing the entire first floor of a home and they say they don't know. Well, that could be a lot of work on our end to come up with all that before we've even done anything. So you look at them and you say, well, if I said, $100,000, would you, how do you feel about that? And then seriously, you could look at their face and you can tell if they just gulped like they were going to,
Barf.
to throw up, or if they really didn't blink an eye and they were like, yeah, that sounds about right. So that was a great lesson to learn.
It really was. And we've used that quite a bit.
We have.
Well, so if we said, so you really don't know. So if we said, $500,000, would you be okay with it? Oh, dear God, no. Okay, well, 300? Okay, so maybe 250 is more your budget. Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. Well, there you go.
It gives you, they really kind of know how much money they have. They don't really want to tell you.
Yeah, that was a great one. And the other thing that she told us, and when she first said it, I kind of looked at her like, yeah, that's because you've got huge clients and, you don't, maybe your cash flow isn't like ours, or yours is a lot different. But she said, it's not a problem if it can be solved for under $5,000. And I was like, what? That's a lot of money. But I've kind of remembered that as, there's been times when you and I are like in a complete spin, like we messed up or there's like a problem. And, you just have to say to yourself, okay, we can fix this. It might, worst case scenario, we have to replace that sofa. We do have insurance, but we might have to replace it. It's not the end of the world. Calm down, but that analogy kind of has helped me out.
Yeah, she has some very good advice for designers. So
she's still coaching, speaking, traveling. She's about to do a conference in Australia.
I know.
So cool.
Yeah.
And but she's just, and her podcast is fantastic. It's by the same name, Business of Design. So she's worth listening to if you're a designer for sure.
Yeah, she's really, really good. Okay. Oh, so Design Camp and Design Mastermind with Kelly Ellis. We've talked about Kelly before. We really like her. So Design Camp was kind of like a master. Well, wait a minute. I take that back. Design Camp went kind of all over the country. We attended in Atlanta, but it was in Vegas. It was a few places. And it was like a conference where she had different speakers, and it was about how to get published, social media.
I just remember being so...
Clinton Smith was there speaking.
I remember Barry Dixon.
Yes.
The designer spoke, and I've never been so mesmerized by somebody's voice and the eloquent vocabulary that he used when talking about his business and his inspiration. I was totally inspired by him.
Yeah. And it was a lot about branding, and it was very design related. And it was just fun too.
Yeah, and that was the one that we...
that's where we met Kimberly Seldon.
Is it?
She was sitting at our table. It was so funny.
Yeah, that's right.
So here we're at this round table. Of course, we're in the front because we always like to be in the front. And so there was this woman sitting there, and she was very nice, but she didn't say very much. And so we're halfway through the conference, and we're getting ready. We take a break, and she's not sitting there. We're like, oh, well, she's probably in the bathroom. And then the next thing you know, they introduce her. She's the speaker. And she gets up there, and she was awesome. Like, I didn't even know that's who she was. So that's where we met her. So once again, meeting people at these things is great.
Well, then, so Kelly and Lori they were a duo that did Design Camp. And then they kind of went on, they were super duper high-end designers out of LA. And so they went on and did their own thing. Well, Kelly then turned around and did this design mastermind class that we did in Las Vegas last year. And so now keep in mind, it was 4 or 5 years ago that we went to Design Camp.
Yeah.
And so we've, again, another amazing connection with Kelly Ellis, and we've maintained that relationship thanks to social media.
The only reason we're here right now.
Correct.
Basically.
Because at that Design Mastermind, we met
Phil Palin.
Yep.
And we are now working with Phil. He did a brand audit for us, which was so great. He helped us to try to find, kind of like what do we need to do? I think we talked about this. We were kind of in a little bit of a lull. Our design business is doing great, but we wanted to do something more. So he thought the podcast would be a great idea for us. And then, we talked about how we made it all happen. So, but, he put us in the hot seat. And there were other designers, and it's really great to literally sit there and really be honest about what you need help with. And, it's not...
Everybody wants to help when you're in the right group of people.
Yeah, and everybody's trying, helping you with ideas. And you think you kind of could figure everything out, and then someone will say something, and you're like, wow, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah. So Kelly's still doing great things. She's designing products for companies like Left Bank, Sunpan, Tile Bar. She's still coaching. She still does her amazing designs, but she's a big thinker, and she's another one to follow if you're looking for continuing education. So you can check her out at kellyellis.com, and you spell her name with a I, Kelli.
I-E.
I
think.
No, I, and then Ellis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next. One of our faves.
The Southern Sea. It's really actually the Southern Coterie. And it is a network for creatives. So designers, artists, fashion people, food people, all kind of Southern related. Mm-hmm. They have a conference every single year that we've been to. Oh my God, we've been to Athens.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2017. Then we were in Charleston for 3 of their summits.
Going back to 2014.
And then they did a wellness kind of thing in Watercolor, Florida, which I had never been to, which was really great. They have amazing speakers, and you get to meet all these people, and then there are these small group mentoring sessions. Mm-hmm. So even though you're in a big ballroom and there are a lot of people, you can kind of pick what you really sort of need help with, and then they do it in smaller groups.
But what I really love about this, and I think this is a really good lesson for everybody, is I really love to step out of the designer bubble and go hang out with other creatives that don't do what we do, because we can all learn from each other. All of our businesses are all very similar, and that's why I really hope that people other than interior designers listen to our podcast, because I think we talk about a lot of things that are relevant to entrepreneurs, but we've just made some great contacts either in PR or website design. Or
That's how we got our website designer. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's, and the great thing about Cherie Levy and her partner Whitney Long, who put this on, is they are really good. We have a membership directory, so we can reach out. I think, what did we have last year? 150 or 2. It keeps getting a little bit bigger. But we have a membership directory of everybody that came and everybody that presented. So
the collaborations are great. As a matter of fact, Carrie Peoples, who was just on the podcast last week, is someone we met through the Southern Sea.
Yep.
She's an organizer. So we all look to each other. So if we're working on a job here in Atlanta with a design client and they need help organizing, that's not something we do. So we would reach out to somebody like Carrie. So it helps our business as well.
There's so many little nuggets when I think about the nuggets from these, but there's just a few, like Gray Malin, who is an amazing photographer. If you don't know who he is, you got to go online and look him up.
He does the aerial shots of the beaches and stuff.
And he kind of told his story from beginning to now, and I was so inspired. And then last year, we had all the editors, which we just spoke about on another show. But it was so great to hear, like, from the editors of Coastal Living about how they do their cover shots. I was fascinated, but now they're all our friends on Facebook and Instagram, and when we have projects, we can call them directly, and
And actually, they had a lunch where you could pick who did you want to have lunch with, and I actually had lunch with the Lindsay Ellis Beatty, who is the one who does the covers for Coastal Living, and so we are now friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
So when we do finish that Kiowa house, we'll be reaching out to her.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the best, I mean, not maybe the best, but one of the best parts about this conference is the swag bags.
Oh,
are
yeah.
incredible.
It's the best swag bag. So the next event, if you're a designer and you really want to go be inspired, is February 6th through the 8th of next year, 2019, and it's in Sea Island, Georgia. So the venues that they put together are unbelievable. Yeah. So worth it.
Yeah. So very, very well done. And they do send out a newsletter every week. So if you go on to I think it's tsc.com or theSouthernCoterie.com, check out that website. Even if you are not a member or have not gone to a conference, you can still definitely take advantage of all the great information they have there.
Yeah. One of our all-time faves. And how many times have we been? 6, 7? I can't even. I think we've been to every single one, but maybe
one or two.
Is the Design Bloggers Conference. It's now called the Design Influencers Conference because they've really grown and expanded in who they attract to their conference. But we've been to LA, we've been to Atlanta. This year it's in Atlanta, so we're very happy. Oh my gosh, we've learned so much. The speakers are amazing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't attend because they weren't really bloggers. They're like, I haven't blogged and whatever. It doesn't really matter. No. It's really more about building the collaborative relationships with brands. It's a lot about branding, a lot about the influence. What we've really learned from it, and it seems like it's happened in the last 3 or 4 years, is the influence that interior designers have in the media. Like, it used to be, where a company would place an ad in maybe Veranda Magazine or something, showing a new faucet. Let's just say, Brizo's putting out a new faucet. Well, they can get probably maybe more eyes on that product if a blogger who has a huge following just talks about it. So it's the design blogging has become more of, which is why I think it's changed, the influencer conference.
Yeah. And this is really the one time of the year where all of our friends in the industry from around the country come together. And so it is one big fat party for us because we just love to catch up with our designer friends that are in Texas and in California and Las Vegas and all over. So we've really made some great relationships. We've learned a lot about technology. We've learned a lot about just our authentic voice and how to step out with that.
Well, technology moves so fast, and this is Adam Japko, who is the one who brings this conference
with Esteem Media.
With Esteem Media is a genius in the technology world, and he is always up to date on where the algorithms are, the strategies. I mean, he's giving you new information that we don't have time to research or read all the time. So you'd learn a lot, and it's great. So the next event is February 24th to the 26th of 2019, and it's at the Grand Hyatt in Buckhead, Atlanta.
I wouldn't miss it. And this was one where I think the price is really reasonable, too. So we're about out of time, but the last one we want to talk about is Phil Palin, who we met with Kelly Ellis in Las Vegas. He is a young, vibrant guy who, and if you look at his website, Phil Palin, and it's Pallen, it was so amazing what he has done. He has gained 268 clients in 23 countries in just the past 6 years. Everybody wants to work with him. And what's so great is, so we've hired him. We are in his coaching program right now, and we're doing it to really learn. We're trying to focus on formulating a more specific direction for this podcast and how to steer it towards our final goals, which is coaching and speaking in public. So we're on the hot seat with him today.
Yeah.
We're in a great group with 9 other, is it 9?
Yeah, I think
9
there's 9
other,
of us total, yeah.
But there's like, and they're from all over the country. We have a singer-songwriter, we have a psychologist, we've got a yoga instructor, life coach, there's a couple designers. So we're all learning from each other. It's kind of like the Southern Sea. I'm so grateful that we're with other creatives that are struggling we all have a challenge in our business, and he's helping us all grow and learning how to monetize what we're doing and be better.
Yeah. We're in the hot seat right after we are
hanging up here. So we have to tell the group what our biggest challenge is, and then we have to sit back while they kind of brainstorm all over us. So
I love this kind of stuff.
What are they going to say?
Yeah. So basically the whole point of this podcast is keep educating yourself. There's always something to learn. And if you surround yourself with people who are doing things that maybe you aren't, or people that are just different than you, just find the time, find the money, keep learning. It only makes you better. So our quote.
We would never be where we are today if we hadn't done all this stuff. Yeah, and as you can see, we're 13 years in, we're sitting here on a podcast acting like, we know everything, and still we've just hired Phil, 2 weeks ago to help us for another 6 weeks and invested in him.
Yeah.
So
you can't go to just one conference and go, okay, I'm good for the next 10 years. No, you got to keep on. So the quote for the day: the world is a university and everyone in it is a teacher. Make sure when you wake up in the morning, you go to school. And that's by Bishop T.D. Jakes.
That is a great reminder to us all that we're all learning every day. Yeah. All right, here's your funny one. Ready? I hope you get this one because
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
It's kind of like the mammogram one, which I keep thinking I'm going to put this one on. But okay, there's no level of ugliness like looking in the mirror at the hair salon with wet hair slicked back and a cape around your neck.
And you have to have some really good makeup on.
And those fluorescent lights, and you're like, oh my God, I cannot even look in the mirror while you're cutting my hair. It's so funny. Oh my God. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. We are, like I said, going to leave you all and go sit in the hot seat for an hour and a half while our peers incubate our challenges. But we just hope that you remember to invest in yourselves, and it's the only way to make your business better. Right?
Amen.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.
Join Joann and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-kole.com for more information.